to the GPT-4 developer demo live stream. Honestly, it's kind of hard for me to believe that this day is here. OpenAI has been building this technology really since we started the company, but for the past 2 years, we've been really focused on delivering GPT-4. That started with rebuilding our entire training stack, actually training the model, and then seeing what it was capable of, trying to figure out its capabilities, its risks, working with partners in order to test it in real-world scenarios, really tuning its behavior, optimizing the model, getting it available so that you can use it. And so today, our goal is to show you a little bit of how to make GPT-4 shine, how to really get the most out of it, where its weaknesses are, where we're still working on it, and just how to really use it as a good tool, a good partner. So if you're interested in participating in the stream, if you go to our Discord, so that's discord.gg/openai, there's comments in there, and we'll take a couple of audience suggestions. So the first thing I want to show you is the first task that GPT-4 could do that we never really got 3.5 to do. And the way to think about this is all throughout training that you're constantly doing all this work. It's 2 a.m., the pager goes off, you fix the model, and you're always wondering, is it gonna work? Is all this effort actually gonna pan out? And so we all had a pet task that we really liked and that we would all individually be trying to see, is the model capable of it now? And I'm gonna show you the first one that we had a success for 4, but never really got there for 3.5. So I'm just gonna copy the top of our blog post from today, going to paste it into our playground. Now this is our new chat completions playground that came out 2 weeks ago. I'm going to show you first with GPT 3.5. 4 has the same API to it, the same playground. The way that it works is you have a system message where you explain to the model what it's supposed to do, and we've made these models very steerable, so you can provide it with really any instruction you want, whatever you dream up. And the model will adhere to it pretty well, and in the future it will get increasingly powerful at steering the model very reliably. You can then paste whatever you want as a user. The model will return messages as an assistant. And the way to think of it is that we're moving away from sort of just raw text in, raw text out, where you can't tell where different parts of the conversation come from, but towards this much more structured format that gives the model the opportunity to know, well, this is the user asking me to do something that the developer didn't intend. I should listen to the developer here. All right, so now time to actually show you the task that I'm referring to. So everyone's familiar with summarize this, let's say, article into a sentence, okay? Getting a little more specific. But where every word begins with G. So this is 3.5. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it kind of didn't even try. Just gave up on the task. This is pretty typical for 3.5 trying to do this particular kind of task. If it's sort of a very kind of stilted article or something like that, maybe it can succeed, but for the most part, 3.5 just gives up. But let's try the exact same prompt, exact same system message in GPT-4. So kind of borderline whether you want to count AI or not. But so let's say AI doesn't count.
Generates groundbreaking, grandiose, generates AI goals.
So fair enough. The model happily accepts my feedback. So now, to make sure it's not just good for G's, I'd like to turn this over to the audience. I'll take a suggestion on what letter to try next. In the meanwhile, while I'm waiting for our moderators to pick the lucky letter, I will give a try with A. But in this case, I'll say
Ahora hagamos el mismo ejercicio con la letra A y la palabra GPT-4 está OK.
Also, pretty good summary. So I'll hop over to our Discord. All right. Wow. People are being a little ambitious here. I'm really trying to put the model through the paces. We're going to try Q, which, if you think about this for a moment, I want the audience to really think about how would you do a summary of this article that all starts with Q. It's not easy.
Ahora hagamos lo mismo, esta vez con la letra Q. Veamos qué dice ahí.
It's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, so I've shown you summarizing an existing article. I want to show you how you can flexibly combine ideas between different articles. So I'm going to take this article that was on Hacker News yesterday, copy paste it, and do the same conversation, so it has all the context of what we were just doing. I'm going to say, find one common theme between this article and the GPT-4 blog.
Encuentra un tema en
This is an
común
article
entre este
about
artículo y el
Pinecone, which is
ChatGPT
a
blog.
Python web app development framework, and it's making the technology more accessible, user-friendly. If you don't think that was insightful enough, you can always give some feedback and say, that was not insightful.
Ok, esto que está aquí es un segundo artículo. Quise encontrar algo común con el ChatGPT, con el GPT-4 blog que él publicó anteriormente. ChatGPT provee una solución.
And of course, you can ask for any other kind of
esto
task you want
realmente no
using
es
flexible
insightful,
language
como que
understanding
no-
and synthesis. You can ask for something like, now turn
No,
the
insightful sería como que
GPT-4
no
blog
está
post
como que totalmente
into
involucrado,
a brand new
entonces
poem.
ChatGPT hace un nuevo intento. Ahora convierte esto en un poema, básicamente. Toda esta información como que ellos tienen.
Picked up on OpenAI evals,
Y ahí lo
open source
tienes.
for all,
Un nuevo
helping to
poema.
guide answering the call. Which, by the way, if you'd like to contribute to this model, please give us evals. We have an open source evaluation framework that will help us guide and all of our users understand what the model is capable of and to take it to the next level. So there we go. This is consuming existing content using GPT-4 with a little bit of creativity on top. But next, I want to show you how to build with GPT-4, what it's like to create with it as a partner.
Ahora le van a
And so the
pedir
thing we're going to
que
do
cree cosas nuevas
is
como
we're going to
compañero,
actually
en vez de
build
hacerlo más
a
como un
Discord
intérprete.
bot.
Veamos qué quiere hacer él esta vez.
I'll build it live and show you the process, show you debugging, show you what the model can
como
do,
que
where its
en la parte
limitations
donde
are,
dice system,
and how to work
él-
with them in order to
Él le
sort of
define
achieve
como
new
los
heights.
roles que esta
So the first thing
AI
I'll
va a
do is
tener.
tell the
Hey, tú
model
vas a
that
hacer
this time
esto,
it's
esto
supposed
y
to
esto,
be an
y
AI
así se va a
programming
comportar
assistant.
en la conversación.
Its job is
en
to
vez
write
de
things
que
out
la-
in
en vez de
pseudocode
dejarle
first, and then actually write the
a la
code.
AI
And this
interpretarlo a su manera.
approach
En cambio
is
aquí,
very helpful to
definimos
let the
las tareas
model
que son.
break down the problem into smaller pieces. And then that way, you're not
En su
kind of
ejemplo,
asking it to
indica,
just
hey, sigue
come
los
up with a
requerimientos del
super
usuario
hard
al
solution
pie
to
de
a
la letra.
problem
Primero,
all in one go.
piensa paso
It
por
also makes
paso,
it very
describe tu plan,
interpretable because
lo
you
que
can
vas a
see
construir en
exactly what the model is
pseudocódigo,
thinking, and you
escribe
can
los
even provide
detalles.
corrections if you'd
Luego,
like. So
el output del
here
código, o sea,
is the
imprime el
prompt that
código
we're
en
going
una
to
sola,
ask
un
it.
solo bloque de
This is the
código.
kind of thing that 3.5 would totally choke on
Minimiza
if
cualquier
you tried
otra
anything like
cosa.
it. But so we're going to ask for a Discord bot that uses the GPT-4 API to read images and text. Now, there's one problem here, which is this model's training cutoff is in 2021, which means it has not seen our new chat completions format. So I literally just went to the blog post from 2 weeks ago, copy-pasted from the blog post, including the response format. It has not seen the new image extension to that, and so I just kind of wrote that up in just very minimal detail about how to include images. And now, the model can actually leverage that documentation.
Él básicamente
It did
está
not
aportando el
have
problema,
memorized, it does not know.
el problema luego de eso con el código que él le proveyó y la descripción también de que quiero que me haga un bot para Discord en el cual pueda publicar, no seguir.
In general, these models are very good at using information
ChatGPT
that it's
en sí
been trained
le
on
proveyó
in new
el
ways to
código en
synthesize new
Python
content.
con
And you
este
can see
bot
that
para
right
hacer
here, that it
publicaciones
actually wrote
en
an entirely new bot.
en Discord.
Now,
También asumo de
let's
que, por supuesto, de
actually see if this
lo
bot
que
is
es
going to work
el
in
token y
practice.
todo esto que Discord
So you should
tiene.
always look through the code,
Él tiene
get
que
a sense of what
probárselo
it does.
y ahora va
Don't
a
run
ensayarlo.
untrusted
Este lo en
code
Jupyter
from
Notebooks,
humans or
la cual es
from
una
AIs.
herramienta excelente para
And one thing to
trabajar con
note
Python.
is that the Discord
Hacer también
API
pruebas.
has changed a lot over time. And particularly that there's one feature that has changed a lot since this model was trained. Give it a try. In fact, yes, we are missing the intense keyword. This is something that came out in 2020. So the model does know it exists, but it doesn't know which version of the Discord API we're using. So are we out of luck?
Hay que
Well,
especificarle.
not quite.
Lo
We
que
can just
está
simply
indicando ahí es que,
paste to the
a pesar
model
de que está el código
exactly
construido,
the error
hacen falta
message.
dos
Not even going
detalles.
to say,
Uno de esos
hey,
es la
this is
versión
from
de la
your code,
versión de la
please
API
fix
de
it.
Discord y por
Just let
supuesto
it
el
run.
token.
The model says, oh yeah,
Se
whoops, the
especificó que
intents
es la
argument.
versión de
Here's the
Discord para
correct
Discord
code.
2.0. Ya comienza a construirlo correctamente y vamos a
Now
ver si
let's
esta
give
vez
this a try once
sí
again, kind
funciona como
of
debe ser.
making sure that we understand what the code is doing. Now, a second issue that can come up is it doesn't know what environment I'm running in. And if you notice, it says, hey, here's this inscrutable error message, which if you've not used Jupyter Notebook a lot with async IO before, you probably have no idea what this means. But fortunately, once again, you can just sort of say to the model, hey, I'm using Jupyter.
Bueno, ahora le está proveyendo el error
Like to make this work.
reportó en Jupyter Notebooks, indicándole que hey, estoy experimentando esto. Quizás
The specific problem is that there's already an event loop running, so you need to use this nest async IO library.
Entonces trata de
You need to call
resolverlo también.
nest async IO.apply. The model knows all of this, correctly instantiates all of these pieces into the bot. It even helpfully tells you, oh, you're running in Jupyter. Well, you can do this bang pip install in order to install the package if you don't already have it. That was very helpful. So now we'll run, and it looks like something happened. So the first thing I'll do is go over to our Discord, and I will paste in a screenshot of our Discord itself. So remember, GPT-4 is not just a language model. It's also a vision model. In fact, it can flexibly accept inputs that intersperse images and text arbitrarily, kind of like a document. Now, the image feature is included, so this is going to be a little sneak peek. It's not yet publicly available. It's something we're working with one partner called Be My Eyes in order to really start to develop it and get it ready for prime time. But you can ask anything you like. For example, I can't, I'll say GPT-4, hello world,
Hola, mundo.
and you describe this image in painstaking detail. All right, which, first of all, think of how you would do this yourself. There's a lot of different things you could latch onto, a lot of different pieces of the system you could describe. And we can go over to the actual code and we can see that, yep, we in fact received the message, have formatted an appropriate request for our API. And now we wait, because one of the things we have to do is we have to make the system faster. That's one of the things that we're working on optimizing. In the meanwhile, I just want to say to the audience that's watching, we'll take an audience request next, so if you have an image and a cast you'd like to accomplish, please submit that to the Discord. Our moderators will pick one that will run.
Está testeando la API, definitivamente sí está escuchando.
So we can see that the Discord, it looks like we have a response. Perfect. So it's a screenshot of a Discord application interface.
Ahora,
pretty good. Did not even describe it. It knows that it's Discord. It's probably Discord written there somewhere, or it just kind of knows this from prior experience.
La descripción de lo que vio en la imagen
describes the interface in great detail. Talks about all the people telling me that I'm supposed to do Q. Very, very kind audience. And describes much of the notification messages and the users that are in the channel. And so there you go. That's some pretty good understanding. Now, this next one, if you notice, first of all, we got a post, but the model did not actually see the message. So is this a failure of the model or of the system around the model? Well, we can take a look. If you notice, here, content is an empty string. We received a blank message contents. The reason for this is a dirty trick that we played on the AI. So if you go to the Discord documentation,
scroll through
it, all the way down to the message content intent. You'll see this was added as of September 2022 as a required field. So in order to receive a message that does not explicitly tag you, you now have to include this new intent in your code. Remember I said, intents have changed a lot over time. This is much newer than the model is possibly able to know. So maybe we're out of luck. We have to debug this by hand. But once again, we can try to use GPT-4's language understanding capabilities to solve this. Now keep in mind, this is a document of I think this is 10,000, 15,000 words, something like that. It's not formatted very well. This is literally a Command-A copy-paste. This is what it's supposed to parse through to find in the middle of that document that, oh yeah, message contents, that's required now. But let's see if it can do it. So we will ask for, I am receiving blank message contents. Can you, why could this be happening?
Why could this be happening?
How do I fix it?
Estoy recibiendo unos contenidos en blanco. ¿Cómo podrías?
So one thing that's new about GPT-4 is context blank. 32,000 tokens is kind of the upper limit that we support right now. And the model is able to flexibly use long documents. It's something we're still optimizing, so we recommend trying it out, but not necessarily sort of really scaling it up just yet, unless you have an application that really benefits from it. So if you're really interested in long context, please let us know.
Como él preguntó, ¿cómo lo puedo
what kinds
corregir?
of applications
Me imagino que por eso fue que no fue el
you see,
detalle de lo
it says, oh yeah, message content intent was not enabled, and so you could either ask the model to write some code for you, or you could actually just, do it the old-fashioned way.
Ahí le pasa
Either way is fine.
Ahí le pasa el intent, lo que le sea falta.
I think that this is an augmenting tool, makes you much more productive, but it's still important that you are in the driver's seat and are the manager and knows what's going on. So now we're connected once again.
Ahí lo corrió.
And Boris, would you like to rerun the message?
Aquí hay una audiencia con una imagen cargada, veamos.
Once again, we can see that we have received it, even though the bot was not explicitly tagged.
La imagen describe un astronauta explorando, sí, básicamente
pretty good description.
Explorando.
Interesting. This is an interesting image. Actually, it looks like a dolly generated one.
En el fondo,
let's actually try this one as well.
Ahora, ¿le quieres dar esta imagen? ¿Le vas a preguntar algo? Ah, qué divertido.
What's funny about this image?
Veamos qué dice.
Oh, it's already been submitted. So once again, you can verify that it's making the right API calls.
La imagen es divertida porque muestra
Squirrels do typically eat nuts.
Una ardilla sosteniendo una cámara, tomando una foto de una nuez, como si fuera un fotógrafo profesional. Es una situación divertida porque las ardillas comen nueces y no esperamos que invierta el tiempo para hacer cosas como humanos.
A nice hand-drawn mock-up of a joke website. Definitely worthy of being put up on my refrigerator.
Ajá.
So I'm just going to take out my phone.
Ahora va a tomar una foto a lo que él considera que sería un wireframe a mano, ¿no?
Of this mock-up.
Lo que él quiere hacer en el.
I'm going to send it.
En mente, lo que tiene en mente hacer. Si es lo que sospecho que le va a proponer una web inmediatamente con lo que él tiene en mente, una pequeña app. Tremendo, ¿eh? Vamos a ver muchos emprendimientos rápidos.
Send it to our Discord.
Ajá.
This is, of course, the rockiest part, making sure that we actually send it to the right channel.
Interesante.
Which, in fact, I think maybe I did not. Sent it to the wrong channel. It's funny. It's always the sort of non-AI parts of these demos that are the hardest part to do.
Si es posible, muchachos, compartan este link en sus redes sociales,
and here we go.
En las que son de tecnología, para ayudarle a aquellas personas que están interesadas en ChatGPT-4, compartan LinkedIn, hagan un tag a Coder Labs, a Swift Issues, para saber que estamos todos juntos.
So the thing that's amazing in my mind
Entonces, lo que sospechaba,
what's going on here is we're talking to a neural network.
Inmediatamente,
this neural network
generó
was trained
lo
to
que
predict what
probablemente
comes
sea
next. Right, it played this game of being shown a partial document and then predicted what comes next across an unimaginably large amount of content. And from there, it learns all of these skills that you can apply in all of these very flexible ways. And so we can actually take now this output. So literally we just said to output the HTML from that picture. And here we go. Actual working JavaScript. Filled in the jokes. The comparison. This was the original
joke website, sí,
of our mock-up. And so there you go, going from hand-drawn, beautiful art, if I do say so myself, to working website. And this is all just potential, right? You can see lots of different applications. We ourselves are still figuring out new ways to use this. So we're going to work with our partner. We're going to scale up from there, but please be patient because it's going to take us some time to really make this available for everyone. So I have one last thing to show you. I've shown you reading existing content. I've shown you how to build with the system as a partner. The last thing I'm going to show is how to work with the system to accomplish a task that none of us like to do, but we all have to. So you may have guessed, the thing we're going to do is taxes. And note that GPT is not a certified tax professional, nor am I, so you should always check with your tax advisor. But it can be helpful to understand some dense content, to just be able to empower yourself to be able to sort of solve problems and get a handle on what's happening when you couldn't otherwise. So once again, I'll do a system message. In this case, I'm going to tell it that it's tax GPT, which is not a specific thing that we've trained into this model. You can be very creative if you want with the system message to really get the model in the mood of what is your job, what are you supposed to do. I pasted in the tax code. This is about 16 pages worth of tax code. And there's this question about Alice and Bob. They got married at one point, and here are their incomes, and they take a standard deduction. They're filing jointly. So first question, what is their standard deduction for 2018? So while the model is chugging, I'm going to solve this problem by hand to show you what's involved. So the standard deduction is the basic standard deduction plus the additional. The basic one is 200% for joint return of subparagraph C, which is here. Okay, so additional doesn't apply, the limitation doesn't apply, okay, none of these apply. Oh wait, special rules for taxable year 2018, which is the one we care about, in 2025, you have to substitute 12,000 for 3,000. So 200% for 12,000, 24,000 is the final answer. Notice model got the same conclusion, and you can actually read through its explanation. And to tell you the truth, the first time I tried to approach this problem myself, I could not figure it out. I spent half an hour reading through the tax code, trying to figure out this like back reference and why there's subparagraph. Just what's even going on? It was only by asking the model to spell out its reasoning, and then I followed along, that I was like, oh, I get it now. I understand how this works. And so that, I think, is where the power of this system lies. It's not perfect, but neither are you. And together, it's this amplifying tool that lets you just reach new heights. And you can go further. You can say, okay, now calculate their total liability.
Ahora calcula por favor el total. Para calcular la liability de 2018.
Here we go. It's doing the calculation.
Hacer una explicación también. Entonces realmente te está asistiendo a sacar unos cálculos propios para saber cuánto, o sea, para resolver cualquier duda que tengas. Para mí en este caso el tema de sí, números, gastos.
Honestly,
o en caso
every
de
time it does it, it's amazing. This model is so good at mental math. It's way better than I am at mental math. It's not hooked up to a calculator. Like that's another way that you could really try to enhance these systems. But it has these raw capabilities that are so flexible. It doesn't care if it's code, it doesn't care if it's language, it doesn't care if it's tax. All of these capabilities in one system that can be applied towards the problem that you care about, towards your application, towards whatever you build. And so to end it, the final thing that I will show is a little other dose of creativity, which is now summarize this problem into a rhyming poem.
Ahora simplifica este problema en un poema que rime. Sí.
And there we go.
Sí, una broma.
A beautiful, beautiful poem about doing your taxes. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I hope you learned something about what the model can do, how to work with it. And honestly, we're just really excited to see what you're going to build. I've talked about OpenAI evals. Please contribute. We think that this model, improving it, bringing it to the next level, is something that everyone can contribute to. And that we think it can really benefit a lot of people, and we want your help to do that. So thank you very much. We're so excited to see what you're going to build.
Qué genial todo esto, ¿no? Ha sido una grata experiencia lo que han prohibido en ChatGPT. Voy a ver si puedo volver el video un momento y voy a ir describiendo paso a paso. Vamos acá un momentico. A ver. Él mencionó, creo que fueron 3 o 4 puntos importantes en lo que podía hacer ChatGPT, ¿no? Actualmente, en la versión anterior de ChatGPT, recuerdo que él podía hacer.
And we've made these models very steerable, so you can provide it with really any instruction you want, whatever you dream up. And the model will adhere to it pretty well. And in the future, it will get increasingly powerful at steering the model very reliably. You can then paste whatever you want as a user. The model will return messages as an assistant. And the way to think of it is that we're moving away from sort of just raw text in, raw text out, where you can't tell where different parts of the conversation come from, but towards this much more structured format that gives the model the opportunity to know, well, this is the user asking me to do something that the developer didn't intend. I should listen to the developer here. All right, so now time to actually show you the task that I'm referring to. So everyone's familiar with summarize this, let's say, article into a sentence, okay? Getting a little more specific. But where every word begins with G. So this is 3.5. Let's see what it does. Yeah, it kind of didn't even try. Just gave up on the task. This is pretty typical for 3.5 trying to do this particular kind of task. If it's, you know, sort of a very kind of stilted article or something like that. A blank message content. Fewer than the model commanded, sort of really scaling it up just yet. Verify that it's making the right API calls.
así, da una descripción de lo que la imagen tiene, o sea, va tomando ese contexto, ¿no? Entonces me parece algo increíble también porque no es únicamente como que resolver que hay una ardilla, una cámara, una nuez y ya está. No, relacionó los tres elementos y interpretó, hey, esta ardilla se está divirtiendo porque cree que está tomando una foto o una nuez, y lo gracioso es que las ardillas comen nueces y no hacen cosas de humanos como tomar fotos. O sea, realmente ese es el chiste para que interpreta la IA. Pero en un principio no lo hacía. ¿Por qué? Porque no tenía el contexto completo. Es por eso que él después lo que le hizo fue agregarle un inter más a la API de Discord. Yo me imagino que era que el GPT no tenía un acceso completo a la imagen o algo le hacía falta. La otra funcionalidad que me pareció interesante, realmente creo que va más, le va de la mano muy bien a los matemáticos o a personas que manejan temas de estadística o temas relacionados con finanzas. Creo que también hace un excelente trabajo la herramienta, ¿no? Perdón, la AI. ¿Qué otra cosa también vi interesante? Yo pensaba que solamente, en un principio, el GPT hacía un segundo. Yo pensaba que únicamente la AI... A ver, ¿no se escucha nada? Hola, hola, hola. A ver. Bueno, vamos a hacerlo nuevamente. Por eso es que es bueno tener el chat abierto ahí para ir escuchando, para ir sabiendo. Hey, estaba diciendo que la imagen como tal, ChatGPT no solamente la interpreta, por elementos individuales, sino que los relaciona entre ellos. En el caso de la ardilla, era la foto de la ardilla, la imagen de la ardilla con una cámara y la nuez. Ahora entiende el contexto, ¿no? Hey, las ardillas... las ardillas no toman fotos, las ardillas se comen las nueces. Entonces, ese es el chiste. Y entiende la ironía del caso y dice, hey, aparte la cámara es algo que nada más usan los humanos. Es por eso que la interpreta. ¿Qué hizo él para que la AI lo entendiera mejor? Uno le pasó más contexto a la AI a través de una configuración que él hizo en Jupyter Notebooks, pero la AI fue la que le indicó eso, que fue el campo que decía, si mal no estoy, dice message content, que le abrió el espacio para que él pudiera también obtener el mensaje, no solamente la imagen. Creo que así es. Bien, ¿qué fue lo otro que también me pareció genial? El tema de que te acompaña a construir también un bot. En este caso lo hizo de una manera genial con Discord. Hizo el bot en un momentico y si se dieron cuenta lo estaba probando en vivo, genial. Y la tercera funcionalidad es la de los cálculos aritméticos, o más bien toma el contexto, por ejemplo, de un caso financiero en el cual él quería saber sobre temas de impuestos, hizo un cálculo correcto, le dio un rango de fecha y él interpretó correctamente esto y aparte le dio una solución. Él dice, hey, me demoré media hora haciendo esto a mano, pero la ChatGPT me lo hizo de manera instantánea. Me parece algo muy útil para personas que manejan volúmenes de datos enormes y que tienen que ver más que nada con finanzas. Ahora, la pregunta es, ¿confiarás tus finanzas a una AI? Sí, mi conclusión es que definitivamente este es el principio de algo mucho más grande. Ya se va acercando más a lo que es una especie de Jarvis. Sigo creyendo que la AI nos funciona mucho como un apoyo, no necesariamente como un reemplazo de trabajo. Más bien tenemos que ir pensando más allá, desde un entorno más alto nivel y menos en el área como tal de desarrollo, ¿no? Tenemos que ir pensando más completos en eso. Lo otro que también me pareció genial, casi se me escapa, es que él también hizo una prueba súper genial. Él tomó una fotografía, aquí está, él tomó una fotografía de su cuaderno en la cual él tenía una versión que él tenía de web en mente de un wireframe que él hizo, ¿no? A mano. ¿Qué hizo? Que al final la AI vino y le dio qué genial cómo le generó después. Aquí está. Después la AI, la ChatGPT le generó todo un ejemplo inicial para una web. Ahora, aquellos que piensan más escribiendo, dibujando, creo que esto les va a ir de la mano. Creo que también es una buena oportunidad para los diseñadores también acercarse más a web, si es que no lo hacen, que aún no lo conocen. Pero creo que también le va a servir muchísimo a personas que quieren prototipar más rápido de lo que ya se hacía hoy en día. Es genial. Es magnífico, de hecho, creo que lo voy a enseñar inmediatamente. Bueno, en base a las preguntas que me hicieron, que se tiene que pagar para poder usarlo, creo que hay un pricing, sí, pero no sé si en estos momentos toma cuánto podría costar, ¿no? Pero creo que delante de otras herramientas era súper barato. Déjenme ver aquí, vamos. ChatGPT, vamos a ver. Veamos un momento esto acá.
So you may have guessed, the thing we're going to do is taxes. Now note that GPT is not a certified tax professional, nor am I, so check with your tax advisor, but it can be helpful to understand some dense content, to just be able to empower yourself to be able to sort of solve problems and get a handle on what's happening when you could not otherwise.
Okay,
so once again, I'll do the system message. In this case, I'm going to call it tax GPT.
Pero si mal no estoy, eran centavos de dólar lo que costaba por consulta, si mal no estoy, pero tenías un montón de consultas posibles para poder explorar. Por ende, si tienen algo en mente más en producción, vale la pena hacer el pago, ¿no? Vale la pena hacer la inversión. Si quieren probar con él, les recomiendo que se metan en la fila de espera para que puedan probar con la herramienta. No creo que se estén demorando ideas, aparte de que ya ellos vienen ya en crecimiento en base a usuarios. Y por ende el soporte va a ser mucho más rápido. Y sí, creo que les confío mucho a ustedes esta página. 4, instálenla, AI. No solamente es para interpretar texto, también interpreta imágenes, también les interpreta texto, interpreta imágenes, interpreta contexto en temas financieros y también les puede ayudar a construir un post rápidamente. Creo que es lo primero que voy a enseñar, lo que decía. Bueno, ¿qué les recomiendo ahora, muchachos? De a partir de acá, ensáyenlo y bueno, nos vemos en la próxima. Muchas gracias.